Welcome back once again. This is a Tuesday on X-Cons for Trump live on IntellectualRadio.com. Once again, X-Cons, the number 4, Trump live on IntellectualRadio.com. And I'm your host, Tyrone Muhammad with Cata Trust. Listen, y'all, it's been a minute since we've been here together, even Devin. And Cata held it down. I was down at I'm gonna say a few things and then we're gonna kick it off. I was down at the Cannabis convention. First of all, y'all can call in. Also, if you got anything you want to say, relate to us, information, questions, that's 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. Well, as I was saying, I was at the MJ Cannabis. That's in Las Vegas. And the crazy part is, Earl, with all of the legalization in the 22 or 24 states that's legal, out of all of the population of thousands of people that came to the cannabis conference, probably 3 to 5% was black. I'm gonna say this again to y'all. We, as black people, our bodies for 60, 70 years built the prison system off of weed. And to see that 90% of all cannabis dispensaries across the country are owned by white men and women, while we still languish in prison, while we still get pulled over for traffic stops for pretty much is illegal search and seizures because they're looking for guns. So where weed, coke, heroin, cannabis, drugs used to be the thing that incarcerated us, now that weed is illegal, and recently the Supreme Court had ruled that smelling weed was no excuse to pull a car over, especially given that weed is legal. Now the circuit court has ruled again, or appellate court has ruled again that they can.
Turned it over.
They can pull you over for weed, and the determination was based on they don't pull you over for something that's been smoked that smell burnt, but they pull you over for something that's raw. So you would think that the stuff that's been burnt proves that I've been smoking.
Okay, right.
And see, that's why these people can't legislate for us. You can't, as our elected officials, let me tell you what's finna happen come Friday. The space, Earl, what you was talking about, our cafes and our with the deltas, the delta 8, the THCs, the CBDs. JB Pritzker is about to do a whole press conference and an effort to eliminate anything other than the dispensaries that's these white MSOs that have been given dispensaries. No company can sell. He want to ban anything that doesn't allow for the white men who took the industry, stole the industry, who have stocks in prisons for us being incarcerated for cannabis.
Right.
You cannot, Tyrone Muhammad, even though I employ 18 people, I pay taxes, I give money to the charity, and we're about to even give money to both basketball teams, girls basketball team and girls volleyball team. From our profits, we are pushing to make sure that our youth sports have resources to, if nothing else, buy basketballs, buy volleyballs, buy something. So I want you all to understand that come Friday, I'm going to get some more information because I want to be outside because they ain't going to let us in to crash the governor's party. Here, Brandon Johnson trying to tax hemp to pay for some of the deficit that they're under. But here's the same person, J.B. Pritzker, Cata, is trying to eliminate it because Kimberly Lightford, I'm going to say that again. I need y'all to hear this. Kimberly Lightford put forth an ordinance to eliminate really black men and black people from being able to compete with the cannabis corporation. So I'm gonna just leave that there, and then I'm
Well,
gonna
Tyrone, can you
pass it on.
speak a little bit more about the ordinance that she
Yeah.
proposed?
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because see what happens
Mm-hmm.
is these bills hit the Senate floor, and oftentimes and Tyrone and I and even Devin have talked about this a lot on this station, and these bills hit the Senate floor, and we have no idea of the magnitude of how it's going to affect us here in the city of Chicago, how it's going to affect small businesses, or even how it's going to affect people in the community. So I say that to say that the reason why we want that information, Tyrone, is we want to begin calling our state representatives and our state legislators, letting them know, hey, listen, we want you to vote against this measure.
And I don't even think it even matters because our lawsuit, that's what I'm saying. If they do that to us, even though they made cannabis legal to be a form of reparation, and they say for the fix the damage that was caused by the war of drugs, we are not the owners of the bulk of the dispensaries. Even though you have people who have gained licenses in the space of cannabis. But most of these guys and people and sisters and brothers that have license, they don't have their own products. They still are really almost like the dispensaries are like pass throughs or just little satellites for the big dispensaries because the Cresco's, Curaleaf, Farmington, Verano, they have their products in the stores that they have dispensaries. We have our own products. I have my own products. I source my own products from farm. I create my own QR codes, my own labels, my own everything. Testing, everything. We do everything. So they're not as sophisticated as us, even in the space of the dispensaries. So they are really workers for these other groups. So this is what I often say. If they take their products out your store, you have to close because now you got to figure out how to source products
Or how to get
or how to get your
how you
shit.
get
So
products.
this is what's going on. So that Build Their Life raised is a form of just really to the cannabis companies don't want us to compete with them, so they want a monopoly. Nothing stops them from doing the same thing we're doing.
Yeah.
But to do what we doing is to deny the infrastructure and really the lies and the deceit that they built their industry off of. Because to have a real um um shall I say competition, they will lose to us if they didn't have our
And I
elected
think that they
officials.
understand that. That's
That's
why
right.
they go under the table and get those guys to come in, join forces with them,
Yeah.
so that they can undercut us, the little man, and basically stop our flow.
But it's not them. It's our black elected officials.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say that everybody listen out there in the internet world, Facebook, all the different social media platforms. None of this can happen to us without our elected officials' permission and help. And in our case, the Republicans don't say nothing because even in their space, they are so holy and righteous that they don't even see the profit aspect and how it repairs the community or put certain people to work. I think that cigarette smoking and alcohol kills more Americans than any product. But here you see Republicans playing self-righteous, act like they can see, they can drink and do all the other stuff that kill people for real every day. But then here's the product over here that doesn't do that, yet they are against it. But then you got their Democratic colleagues that has created a monopoly for these very same white men who give all of them campaign contribution. And so I'm looking for the pull of D2s, especially of Kimberly Lightford, because she's the one who's pushing their agenda. This black woman, this black elected official, this legislator is pushing their agenda while we suffer, even while understanding that she would destroy a bunch of black businesses. She still say no.
You know the bill number?
I get it. We'll get everything. So Thursday we'll
that's
be
what I was
ready.
sitting here doing, was trying to look up the.
But the bill is disguised under a massage bill.
Oh, that's how they do it. We talked about that. We talked about how they buried
they buried
the
it.
bills into something
It's
else.
buried under a massage bill that says that if you get caught doing some happy endings, that's the bill. Literally, once I send you this link, or everybody, you go top. It talks about the happy endings in the massage bill, and then it goes right into see him, such and such. So most people reading the bill,
they
gonna
about
read
the massage,
that.
yes.
But then the number 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, they may use some hemp oil. So now we're gonna eliminate CBD or hemp. Something that, and then people listen. I'm gonna explain something to you.
But that's also the issue too with the hemp oil.
Exactly.
About our senior citizens and our people who use that for pain.
That's right. But they not
and cannot afford to go to and we've been doing this
since my grandma was using hemp.
Exactly.
I remember that. I remember my grandmama taking hemp, smashing it up in this brick. This bowl
with
right?
the stick, and mashing it in and making
a crucible.
And
it's called
and taking whatever oil she would add to it, and steaming all the different stuff she would do, and then create her, as they say, is it called salve? And create her salve to rub on her ankles and her knees and grandpa's shoulders, and it worked back then. So they didn't take a lot of and they didn't take. I got the best salve in the country, I believe. And I'm telling you, grandpa, after a hard day working that field, she rubbing that stuff on him. They didn't take pills back then.
Yeah,
they used the earth, right?
Natural herbs.
So that's what I want y'all to understand, that the diabolical nature of how economics is warfare. If you remove resources from our community, you wonder now why we are in the condition we are in. The resources is very important to fix the damage caused by, in this case, the war on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're able to, and I've said it, if you're gonna make it real dangerous, and you're gonna increase, and we're actually gonna reduce the cannabis industry's profit. Because the black market gonna win, it's gonna exist. We're gonna flood the communities. Like we ain't going to those dispensaries. You're gonna see that what you think you doing to us when we come out the black market and come into the public spaces and pay taxes. The taxes is you're not even satisfied with the taxes we're giving you.
The black market is still 80% of the market anyway.
But
so it's just gonna increase because people are not gonna, and it's not gonna stop being used. People are not gonna. This is not going away. And if we can allow cigarettes, we can allow alcohol, most of which don't have any medicinal purposes, no purposes other than to destroy communities. But THC is something, and CBD are things that should really be explored because of the health benefits to them, and even the recreational use is not as detrimental. They want to say that it's an addictive substance. It's actually not an addictive substance unless you add something to it or you already have an addictive personality. So that would be something that's within yourself or something that someone added to it to make you addicted.
Yeah.
Not only that, I think that you also have to think about the health risks that come with cigarettes and alcohol. You talk about liver disease, lung disease, kidney disease, all those other things.
Cancer.
You don't have those additives when you're talking about the use
of. But every major hospital make money off cancer.
Oh, yes.
And even the university get billions of dollars in just cancer research. You research is something that got the cure in food. With food can cure it. Just eat right and stop smoking. Like it becomes like
it's real simple.
And I'm gonna just add that marijuana is an anti-inflammatory, cancer thrives off of bodily inflammation, right? So is there, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying, if we were pushing for research and again, it's something that's legal, and you said it's majority white people that own these licenses. It's a how do I say this? It's a very specific group of white people,
billionaires already,
and
multi-millionaires.
You can say billionaires.
And what happened was, they went through the process. Even at the beginning, when they first talked about making cannabis legal here in Illinois, there were people who are already on the ground level talking with legislators and pushing them so that they would be the ones to monopolize that whole industry. And there were Black men and women who were trying to, as these laws were coming down, who were trying to also get in on a ground level, and those doors were being closed in their faces. They wanted them to have so much money, so much more than what it would actually cost them to run their dispensary. And then they wanted them to have, you had to have a clean record, and you had to have, it was set up
for
and even though
ex-con not to have one, right?
even though they said that it was a mechanism put in place that was going to benefit Black men and women because
that's just so you could support it.
Just so you could support it because of the pain that the war on drugs cost us. And so I guess that this would make me say to our listening audience, if you are doing business with one of the major dispensaries, stop. As a Black person,
boycott, and as a white. First of all, I want to say this. And when we was protesting those dispensaries, that I helped to get a lot of licenses for Black folks who then turn around, they give us no resources or nothing in terms of the fight we waged for them to even get a license, right? White people is my line. White people, Black people, and any people who support dispensaries in their current formulation support racism, discrimination, bias, and bigotry against Black people. I'm going to say it openly again. Any white people, any elected official who currently, especially if you Black, who currently, especially white people, because y'all don't have to come in our neighborhoods no more. You exploited us and got us locked up. You come in there buying that weed. We went to jail. Y'all got let go.
Yep.
If you support dispensaries in their current formulation and makeup, white-owned dispensaries. I'm not talking about my Black brothers and sisters who have dispensaries. White-owned dispensaries. You support racism, bias, bigotry against the Black community, especially against, and you are part of the problem of mass incarceration. What y'all got to say about that? Call in 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. Enough is enough, Cata. Enough is enough. It's enough to make a...
Listen. I'm so tired of just hearing these kinds of stories, and they're so repetitive when it comes to the implementation of things that are supposed to benefit us as Black people. And then we see them being hijacked. We see the fact that the ills of our community are used to make others wealthy.
Yeah.
It's
No, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say, I just want to put some perspective on this. I think that we think that laws are made with our lineage attached to them are supposed to be for us.
Right.
And that's the problem, is that we are looking at white people as though they care that that there is a white supremacist system. They don't care by a lot. Why would they care?
Right,
Because they
especially
are
if I'm
benefiting
white.
from it.
Right.
We're looking at black politicians like they care that the residents of Inglewood are being destroyed. The people who represent Inglewood, from the aldermen all the way up, are fine. They all make six figures or somewhere in it. They are not. These people do not. You think Kimberly, State Senator Lightfoot, really cares that she's about to destroy these people?
Absolutely
Do you think that those 17, 18, however many aldermen we have on the city council, that they really care that something is happening in our community? You think the people that we sent to Washington, D.C. from the 1st congressional district, the 7th congressional district, the 2nd congressional district, they do not care? Because if they did, there's no way that they could sit there for my entire adult life, right? I became an adult in 2004. These people been in office since, some of them since my parents decided to conceive me, right? So they don't care. And obviously, I don't know. One of the frustrating things, and I was thinking about this on the drive over here, is that obviously it's not painful enough for us.
That's it.
Because if it was painful enough, then we would pick up a tablet or a phone or something with the Constitution on it and learn the Constitution, and then say, is my representative following the Constitution? Because we can all read. And if you can't read, you can hear me speak the English language, which is not our language, fine. But you can get an audio version of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we as a people collectively, at least in this city and in this state, we don't understand.
It's in this country, Devin.
I know it's the whole country, but
so
I'm gonna just pretend like it's just one out of 50 states
this
for
country
today,
of
right?
Chicago and Illinois is a mess.
We in Chicago, we have more political power as freedmen. I'm not talking about black people, because I'm not talking about Jamaicans and people from the Bahamas. I'm talking about specifically the descendants of American slavery, those of us who our lineage has been here, and we have been through the worst that this country has had to offer, as well as the best, if you want to say that. The fact that we have the most political power in this place, and yet we still don't know how to get one piece of legislation passed
that will serve us.
That would serve us. And I'm going to tie this issue that you're talking about to that budget. People are patting themselves on the back and congratulating themselves because it's only a $68 million property tax increase instead of a $300 million. It was never going to be a $300 million property tax increase. The property tax is already automatically increased every year with the cost of inflation. And so it was already going to be 68 million. So all
You're
these
talking
different,
about Chicago.
I'm talking about in Chicago. So all these different mechanisms of government and these different politicians, and we always say there's all skin folk ain't kinfolk or whatever. But then when it comes to the people who are in office, we don't hold them responsible to that. We do it to each other on 79th Street, but we don't do it to the person who's actually making six figures to represent a community where nobody has a job.
Well, I'm going to just tell you honestly what I've realized. Because our people are blind, deaf, and dumb, and they've been rocked to sleep by one party for 60 years in this city or more. It's going to come down to haves and have-nots.
It has already come
to
that.
But what I'm saying is we at war. And those very people that think they could continue to neglect and deny the people, they're going to find themselves at gunpoint. And I'm telling you, this ain't no intellectual radio. This ain't no threats. This ain't nothing. Because you don't know the people, you're not feeling the energy, you got people shooting at the police, which tells you that their fear of whatever retribution and consequences is none and void.
There is no fear.
You think that once we keep exposing the people that you are the devil that's causing their issues, because that's all I'm going to say. Your black elected officials mainly are the ones causing your injury. I'm going to say it again. Black elected officials who you all select to go to represent you, and your communities look the way that they do, are the ones actively, openly causing injuries to your family member, to your what is it, life chances in this city, because we have no answer for education, true education. We have no answer for fixing unemployment rates. That's the worst in any city. We have no answer for fixing murders and violence. We have no answer for immigration and policy that would deplete citizens of resources that's theirs. And then we have no answers. You know why we have no answers? Let me give you an example, Colin. You can chime in on this. I put forth an ordinance. I gave it to Walter Burnett to give it to the mayor way before his deficit. Put forth an ordinance, paid for it with a lawyer and everything. Gave the ordinance to Walter Burnett and several other aldermen. Walter Burnett takes the ordinance, gives it to Jason Lee. Jason Lee likes the ordinance. Brandon Johnson gets it, I guess. Then next thing you know, I hear Will Hall on TV and on the news talking about he wanted tax hemp to increase revenue. And then he used my ordinance, my ideas to bring funding to my goal was to bring 500 to an extra 1.5 in menu money to every community. To fix potholes, to fix this, from the product that they trying to eliminate. J.B. Pritzker going against Brandon. J.B. Pritzker gonna have a press conference Friday to say eliminate it, while Brandon Johnson saying we need to tax it so we can pay for things in Chicago. So think about this. We got two. Brandon Johnson helped J.B. Pritzker usher in all these migrants. Now J.B. Pritzker is trying to undermine even the hemp that Will Hall don't call me on. He used mine. He grandstand with this and promised me when we got to get to the room, I'm going to call you, Tyrone, to figure out. He don't own no business in hemp. But he going to take my resource, tax me. I offered to tax myself to help the people.
Wow.
I offer as a citizen to tax myself to help fund our community issue that your black elected officials ran up $1 billion deficit or more taking care of non-citizens. Then I say $200 to $300 million can be raised. And all of our communities, the communities can receive that funding to help us. Now they raise taxes on your housing, but then they take out the stuff that I put in the ordinance that can help the black communities and to help Chicago citizens not be taxed. But yet you're going to tax the Chicago citizen, and then Alderman Will Hall is going to hide behind the ordinance as though he was the one smart enough to create it. So I'll be in City Hall tomorrow. And I hope he there. He wasn't there last week. I'll be there tomorrow, 9 o'clock, ready to tell him he's a coward, he's a thief. And all of them are cowards and thieves for allowing him to do that without calling community members, subject matter experts to the table while they take my money.
How about even calling the person who put the ordinance together to the table to implement it? Because it's your ordinance. And I think that, Tyrone, you would be remiss if you didn't also call Walter Burnett on the carpet.
Absolutely.
Because how dare you?
Number one, Because it went through him. Because I know and the reason I chose Walter Burnett, he was one of the main ones who pushed cannabis in Chicago. Dispensaries. So you take dispensaries from our community, give them to white folks, and then turn around now and allow the government to take hemp. Think about this, Earl. Hemp is federally legal. Listen, that people that don't understand what I'm saying, the government has already regulated and determined that hemp is federally legal, less harmful than cannabis. Already federally legal. The government has already determined that. Cannabis is not federally legal.
No, it is not.
So here they go.
Nor is it regulated.
Nor is it regulated. Here they go taxing hemp that's not federal, trying to ban hemp that's not federally legal, but accept cannabis that's federally legal because go ahead.
And please don't, we would be remiss if we not regulate it. Remember that it's not regulated. And when something is not regulated, keep in mind, and even though you're getting it at a dispensary, there are no regulations. So there's no telling where it come from, what you're getting, what's in it, because there are no regulations.
That's what they're saying. To scare the people, just like they did. I heard this in the elections. We good at scaring people. To not vote for a certain part, they've done the same thing. Don't mess with that. That's not weed. Don't get that stuff gonna kill you.
Yes.
Why I haven't even heard of a lot of deaths based on nothing. They have never talked that way about alcohol because they all drink. They'll never say that about cigarettes.
Cigarettes are full of
most of them smoke.
Yeah,
they can't have the same conversation. But the reality is, Kimberly Lightfoot. She said that these hemp that killed of course it's bad actors. First of all, the very fact that you allow anybody to sell anything without regulation, and then when we put forth the hemp 21 laws, once again, we did that.
We did it
as a citizen. We did that. Our coalition put forth hemp 21. We regulated our own product. We regulate our own product. You can't even go in our store without signing into a pad and your ID saying 21.
Yep.
So you're not talking about our location where it's class, black excellence, and business. You ain't even thinking about that. You talking about gas stations and that. Now, regulate them.
Right, exactly.
And put them under some decree.
Not even that, these little small little stores, there's smoke shops that's around, because they're all selling.
But look at the thing, that's the killing part. Those companies, Arabs and others, Indians, operated for a whole 2-3 years
without anybody,
bro.
Yep.
But the moment a Tyrone Muhammad and others come and say, hey, we don't need your cannabis dispensary. The government has already federally given us the right to do this, and this.
Yep.
We're not trying to compete with you. We in our own space, our own lane, which is already federally legal, and I have a license from the state to operate business, and I have a license from the state to operate my flower. Now you coming and telling me we're going to ban the license you paid for to operate flower and the license you paid for to operate business and took my tax dollars and tell me you can't do that no more. You telling me that's not evil and we not at war?
Well, not only that, I think that hell, give people their money back.
But even if we're going to sue you for not only the livelihood that you destroyed. If unemployment rate is so high amongst our people.
Right. Why would you do anything that's going to increase that?
Now we increase and put people to work. And in my business, I hire mostly women.
Yep.
So all these women.
With families, with children, with babies.
You saying it's okay for them to be without a job. And it's okay for their babies not to eat. When they're learning the business and they're building themselves up to understand it, they learn the regulation, they learn the dosage, they learn the science of it. They know how to say, hey, if you take this one, it reduces inflammation. Right. If you take this CBD or this one with the CBGV, bam, bam, bam. It also acts as a pain relief. Like for this, they are knowledgeable and they're learning the
and they're
business.
learning it. Yes.
But the pharmaceuticals and the cannabis industry,
they see money. That they're seeing those dollars, and even with the pharmaceutical industry, that's a whole nother other 2 or 3 day segment to really get into the underworkings of how dirty pharmaceutical companies really are.
Man,
but if black people are not unemployed, without businesses, disproportionately without businesses, if we're not at the bottom metric of everything, education,
everything,
then they cannot create programs and create revenue, a revenue stream with the war on poverty. You see what I'm saying? All of this stuff is like interconnected, and
social
again,
right.
we have this idea that people don't want to see black people unemployed, under and miseducated, without. People do want to see us without, because how can Brandon Johnson stand up, or anybody, not just him, JB Pritzker, name a person, then you cannot stand up and think of new programming and new types of revenue where you are the beneficiary to providing the solution, right? And when we look at, I'm gonna just say this, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but I would challenge people to find out who owns these major dispensaries.
Absolutely.
Look up the last name and see who is actually bloodline. Hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Who's bloodline related to whom?
Yep, to JB
in that
and
industry.
his cronies. Yep.
I'm not talking about friends. I'm talking about blood is thicker than water.
But think about this. You have a whole one of the top 3 companies, Curaleaf, that's owned by a Russian. Here we are always talking about Russia. Look at Russia. But we allow
it.
We always talking about China. But guess who owns most of the manufacturings and the machines and the processes to process cannabis? Even the vape pens, even all the stuff that they do. China. Wow. A lot of 30 to 40% of our MJ biz, cannabis, 30 to 40% was Chinese. So here we go again, even in the cannabis space. Everybody exploit us. They don't partner with you, black people. They don't partner with you. They don't say, Tyrone, man, look, you got this model. Man, take it and then let this be the smart, because ain't no way in the world if I was a multi-billionaire, I wouldn't partner with Tyrone Muhammad. Yeah, ex-con. He's an advocate. He got ingenuity because he started his own business as someone that's been 21 years in prison. Have an organization that's public safety and violence intervention, reentry, workforce development, mentoring. Ain't no way in the world. If I was anybody else, I'd be the mayor. I ain't lying. I'm just only saying that
those are facts.
You don't want nothing, because Brandon Johnson ain't did more than me in this city.
No.
I guarantee you that. No. On my baby finger,
he ain't did
JB
more than
Pritzker,
me in this city.
You and my baby finger, JB Pritzker and Brandon Johnson together hasn't moved more stuff on the blocks than I have, the street. And I've never seen them. I never seen JB Pritzker walk our communities except when he was doing an apology tour. And that was in black churches. This is evil, man. And these people that's governing us, that we allow to be in these positions, that's really killing us and your family members, they are your enemies.
Tyrone, you know what? It ain't even them, it's us. Because at what point do we wake up and say enough is enough? At what point do we stand up and begin to fight for things that are going to benefit us as a community, as a collective? At what point Do we say to Kimberly Lightfoot? Do we say to J.B. Prisker? Do we say to Brandon Johnson, nah, we
Not
ain't
today.
going. Not today. We're
But
not.
they count on us. See,
They count on us to not know.
and then they
count
count
on us to not respond.
not to do what just happened in this
Yes.
election. They don't even see. They still
Yes.
doubling down.
Oh yeah, because they so here's the thing. They think it's a fluke. And that's okay. That's okay. Because here's the thing that I want people to keep in mind. And I have to keep reiterating this because this is very important. Hear me. Yes, Trump won the popular vote, and a lot of people showed up to vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
But many more people stayed home.
home.
And they stayed home because the sentiment was screw both of these candidates, both of these parties. So, see, Democrats, yes, it wasn't always about Trump, but it darn sure ain't about you. People are watching, people are listening, people are paying attention. They're listening to what we're saying. So, that little snow job that y'all like to perpetuate among our community, time's up for that.
That division, that's what they do.
Time is up.
They divide black women against black men.
Time is up.
They divide gender. They use gender affirming stuff as a litmus test as to who and what you are.
Yes.
Then they use how you feel about your resources, because that's what I say. How you feel about your resources being taken and given to another people. As though, you're supposed to sit back and just allow them to give billions of dollars to non-citizens and don't supposed to say nothing.
No.
What the hell are you talking about? What you saying something? See, Trump doing, they keep saying Trump. Trump has nothing to do with
this. Not
sanctuary
really.
cities.
Not really. No.
You go ahead.
But again, that goes back to what I said earlier about how we do not. We've all, the three of us have been in rooms with, let's just say, white Republicans, right? And when you listen to the I'm not comparing black against white, but I'm saying when you listen to the caliber of conversation that's had around their political conversations and they talk about the Constitution. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
They understand the proper place of a municipal government versus a state government versus the federal government. And so all we hear in our community, Trump bad, racist, Trump, racist, Trump, right? Meanwhile, Trump has nothing to do, or anybody, Trump, Biden, name one of them, nobody at the federal level. Jonathan Jackson in the 1st Congressional District don't have nothing to do what goes on in the state government. It's its own entity. And you have to attack that separate entity totally separate than the way that you attack the federal government. You have to attack your home rule city of Chicago totally different than you attack your state government. Each one of those entities have totally separate budgets, billions of dollars. Again, just when we say the city of Chicago, we're not talking about just Brandon Johnson. It's a school. So I've been saying this every time I come here. It's a school district. It's a park district. It's a metropolitan water reclamation district. Each of those things needs to be torn down
and rebuilt.
They're taxing. Their sales tax, property tax, name a tax. They got a tax, and so we sit and we think of these programs and we focus on one little aspect, and somehow Trump and Brandon Johnson are in some type of weird relationship because we throw out all their names together like we fighting the same thing at the same time, and we're not. And that's the problem is we don't know our own government.
Exactly.
We don't know what these people are doing. We have allowed this thing to get so big it's unsustainable. We don't know where to go. You got people at city council yelling here. That's not the only place we need to be yelling. We need to be down in Springfield. Somebody need to be in DC.
And that's
So
it
they're
right
like
there.
an octopus. They got tentacles all over the place. And we got people in one specific place who aren't even fighting properly.
You could target Tyrone, Devin, and Cata because we the visible, we the loudest. And it seems as though we having abreast to the issue, to the issues. So the great worst thing in the world is for us to have any platform to speak about the ills and the issues. And as we build this up, then we can now create those slates and say, hey, people, this is what we got to do. Who want to volunteer? Who want to help?
Going down to Springfield.
Come on, show up. I got my man Reginald Henderson. He did, I did 21 years, but this young man did 30 years from the John Burge torture stuff. And next week, man, maybe you could come on and speak about it. I'll talk to you. And we could talk about just how, because he said, like, in the movie Frankenstein, it's like after you build something and create something, and that's what the Democratic Party is like, Dr. Frankenstein. They create this movement of so-called wokeness or whatever they want to call it, and they mold it and they fashion and nurture black people to sleep, right? They nurture, mold them, and they did all these manners of ills to black people that no insult is too big to black people. I'm going to say this again. Black people have no insult level. We can't do, you have no insult level, black people. So now he mentioned Frankenstein eventually turned on Dr. Frankenstein and killed him. So see, this is what's going to happen. I keep telling y'all this, and I'm going to reiterate. The views of ex-cons with Trump is not the views of IntellectualRadio.com.
So
that stuff is going to happen. It already started in this last national election. Now, we're going to move out as well. Devin a Republican, in case y'all didn't know. And he's a Republican. I want him to talk more before we close out about what he do again for the people that's new. But now we got to attack the Republican Party for being none and void. They just downstate having fun and as though none of this affects them.
As if
so we gonna get them too. They're not gonna be here. We ain't caught up in no parties. You gotta do your job. If the Democrats is violating people like me, Tyrone Muhammad, the Republicans got to stand up and say, hey, I ain't for that there, but we not gonna let y'all do this.
Exactly.
They have no voice about the way they talk about the Democrats from a distance, but they don't put forth no fight to stand with the people, because even in their mindset, with all that they've seen, the state almost turned red. They think they have no win or purpose in our community, and y'all can speak on that.
So the issue is that you have, and I'm saying some, not all. Let me start out with that. Some, not all, but there are Republicans who benefit from this system. Okay, I am a Republican, but I am a Republican because historically we only got two parties. It's hard to get on the ballot unless you're somebody like you who got a whole bunch of people who will support you either way. But for the average person in politics, you do need that beneficial, that kind of favorable status with one of these two parties. We have a lot of Republicans who are they might be Democrats. I don't know. I don't know. They seem very content with the status quo, and it's easy to call out all the Democrats because they hold a supermajority vote in the state house. They're 48, 49 out of 50 aldermen. So yeah, you could pick a Democrat and call them out, right? It's probably their fault, but they're benefiting from that because it in their district, it looks great. I said what I needed to say, and I'm sorry that I couldn't deliver any tangible policy for you because we just don't have no party. It's just me, and don't get rid of me because I'm the only person saying something.
I'm trying to get what you need.
I'm telling people to get rid in the state of Illinois, you probably need to get rid of whoever is representing you unless you know for certain
the whole state.
In
That means Democrat and Republican.
And I'm talking about if the office is the person that picks up plastic straws off the side of the road,
baby,
and that's who you elected them to do,
Fire
probably
them.
get rid of them.
Fire them.
Because his straw picking days is over.
Yes, if they the dog catcher, we don't need any more dog catchers to be elected. Okay, and that's where we are. Is I put my name out as a Republican because I want to see change and I wanted to work for change in my community. And that's the call that I put out to everybody. I don't believe that there's anything that we can work with in the Democrat Party. I will never be a Democrat. Hear me. I will never, because there's no way that you can have all that LGBTQ ideology, which is a religion, it's a theology. There's no way that you can have all this strange racial ideology. They got racial stuff, sexual indoctrination, just bad progressive policy. They believe in government. That's their religion. My religion is
not just government, but they believe in big government.
Well, to believe in government, this is a country that was founded on revolution. I don't mean like communists, but that's why every 2 years we got an election. And in Illinois, every year, in a 10-year span of time, most of us only have 2 years where we don't have an election. In Chicago, this will be the only year until 2031 that we don't have an election. We got municipal elections, state elections, federal elections, name an election, we got it. And that's what we were founded on, is kicking people out, tearing statues down. We tore down King George's statue. We built up a republic, and it was built on the backs of black people, but that's a whole nother story. And now we sit here and we just allow government to roll over us, to do whatever they want to do, because they show up and they bring a bouncy house, or they show up and they, they be having them boxes of turkeys. Meanwhile, the turkeys are expired.
Old food boxes, old food boxes.
Forgetting that they work for us. Yeah. They work for us.
And think about if
we pay their salaries.
If a third of your income, or is really more than half, because we got taxes on top of taxes, right? If half of your income did not go to prop up a federal, state, or local government, could you not provide for yourself? Do you need the government to take $10,000 from you and then give you a doggone turkey at the end of the year?
Wow. So you take my taxes, you take my money, you got high rent, high gas, you tax the food, you tax the pump, and then you give me a turkey.
And then boot my car.
And then boot my car.
I gotta walk to get the turkey.
Right.
You boot my car, you give me tickets because you sold the meters.
Right.
You sold all the meters from our street
to China,
and you gave in our parks away, and then you tax us in our parks because they got meters in the parks. And you ain't what? If you're not a slave to taxes, then I don't know what you are. You are a slave to taxes. How do you want more government if more government only tax you more?
That's it. That's all.
To pay for their salaries.
Yes.
To pay for their lifestyles and pensions.
While you continue to struggle.
Hey.
While you continue to fight to make ends meet.
Leave them alone.
Come on, people.
Leave them alone.
Let's
put the right people in office. And as we close out, she said it, wake up. I'm going to City Hall tomorrow. And I want to confront a few people tomorrow, and I will. And I may go to jail. But I'm letting you know that I'm going to deal with a few people tomorrow because I'm tired of these thieving Negroes. I'm tired of them stealing and killing us. Yeah, they ain't physically pulled the gun. But boy, when they don't put the programs and put the right resources to our community for these little homies can have something other than drill, kill, and slide. They are part of it. They're part of killing your loved ones. They're part of that. And you about to start acting like they the devil in flesh. Because let me say something to y'all. Jesus ain't coming to save you. You got to save yourself. God don't change the condition of a people until they change their own condition. First, you got to recognize you're a daggone slave. Right. You as a slave, you turning straw in the mud. Y'all are trying to make bricks for Pharaoh and barefoot in the mud. Y'all churning straw with y'all naked feet in the mud, and they can care less if your feet fall off because you'll become a part of the bricks.
As long as you pay them taxes.
Long as you paying the taxes and working and slavering for them for wages that you would never get out of your condition. Those are wages you would never be able to pay or have anything substantial for your children, your family to save while you pay for their pensions and they gonna have a life. They run for 2 years, 3 years and get a lifetime of money. Where did they earn that at?
Right.
So thank you. I'm Tyrone Muhammad, the Cata Trust, and in with us is our brother Devin Jones, the what?
18th Ward Republican Committeeman Chair of the Southside Republicans.
That is, man, and y'all about to vote for him. We got to run them for alderman or something. We got to at least try. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Earl, Wanda, IntellectualRadio.com. Please subscribe and share. And hey, you're listening to Ex-Cons with Trump Live with Tyrone and Cata. Let's go, y'all. See y'all Thursday.